What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, and today we are going to be continuing this week as we drive on with some of these wide receiver prospects, and we're going to be talking about Jermaine Burton, wide receiver out of the University of Alabama, diving into some of his tape, looking at some of the good things that he does, and, really talking about, I think he's one of the more slept on receivers. Really interesting skill set that he brings. So really looking forward to diving into that with you guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you guys are enjoying these breakdowns, you guys want to see more, and as always, drop a comment, let me know what you guys think, and not only Burton, but who you want to see next. Let's get into a little bit on the statistical front. So just raw stats here. Oh, a note about Jermaine Burton too, I want to mention he played his first 2 years as true freshman and his sophomore year at the University of Georgia before transferring to Alabama. So 2 years at Georgia, 2 years at Alabama. A guy that doesn't have significant production, but was pretty consistent. 27 for 404 and 3 touchdowns as a freshman, 26 for 497 and 5 as a sophomore at Georgia. Those were on, those really good Georgia football teams too. Then he comes to Bama last year, 40 for 677 and 7 touchdowns, and then he follows that up with 39 catches for 798 yards. That's 20.5 yards per catch and 8 touchdowns. We're going to talk about why that happened, but when you get into the advanced data, very interesting profile, 0 drops on the year. Obviously, that's what we like to see. Not a high-level yak receiver. Doesn't force a lot of missed tackles, but average depth of target was actually 3rd in the nation, 20.2. So this is one of your true deep threats, showing that with 11 catches for 484 yards. That is quite literally half of his yardage production was on 20-plus yard passes. Not a lot of screens. But doing really well in contested catches. So a guy that I think he's a little bit more than a deep threat, and we'll kind of look at that. Did Jermaine Burton make the cut on this graph? Yes, he did. So he's right there under Ladd McConkey. So a little bit lower on the yak per reception, but super high on the first down per target. And that's a lot of that has to do with just where he's being targeted. A lot of that is downfield. Wasn't overly consistent with his production, but a decent yards per route run. See if I'm able to locate him on these charts. I like to kind of bring these up consistently just so that we can kind of keep track of all of these guys. Sometimes it's just hard to find the little symbols. He's going to be right there in the middle, almost across on EPA per route run. A lot of that's going to be because of the deep yardage he was able to add. So a lot higher than some of the prospects we've already looked at. You can see Adonai Mitchell there, Leggett's there, Keon Coleman I believe is right there. So Brian Thomas is lower as well. So interesting to look at. When you look at the Raz score from the combine, so it came in a little bit smaller at 6 foot 196, but elite level explosive. Grade, and then very good 40, especially in his 10-yard split. So he comes in with a 9.57, so very, very high-level athlete. And now we'll kind of dive into the tape. So obviously we're going to be taking a look at some of these deep balls because that really is where he thrives, and his ability as a route runner and how he'll develop at the other 3 levels. That's going to be bit of a work in progress, a little bit of a projection, but there's also an interesting twist that I'm going to get to a little bit later in the video of why I really like him for the Ravens. And it's kind of unique, but it really popped out to me, so stay tuned for that. So here we're going to get that deep ability, and you just see him gliding here. He doesn't get targeted on this play, but you're going to get a nice little speed release, soft shoe press, so you're going to line up and press, and the immediate sag off there, and he's just going to blow by. This could have easily been a target. His ability to just separate downfield. The target comes right here to the out route, but you can see the gap here, and as he continues to go, that's just going to widen. So if that would have been a deep shot. So really what we're looking at here, obviously, the speed is so unbelievably clear. Sorry. Gotta get to the next play, skipped ahead. So what I want you to keep an eye on here is really how he manipulates the safety. So he's going to run, and he's going to target that inside to the ball shoulder. So he's going to try and run here, and as he does that, you can see he forces the safety to turn around and look inside. And as soon as he does that, the QB sees it, and Burton sees it, and he's going to bend back out. So just that fluid ability downfield. And, that's where he's able to gain that separation. And just, I thought Milroe did a hell of a job here just to push that ball outside the hashes. And the tracking ability, my God. Think about where he starts to bend inside the hashes at the 30-yard line. And he ends up basically at the corner. So that's a lot of yardage to cover, because he's not just running 5 yards into the middle of the end zone. He's also bending it backwards towards the pylon. So really impressive ball tracking there. That's really what you want to see out of those deep threat guys. But just that ability to manipulate the safety shows his keen awareness. I think that's something that really popped with him. He's very aware of what the defense is doing. He's very aware of the space he's running into, especially against zone. We're going to take a look at a couple of those concepts here later. You can see the same thing against Auburn. This is just bad DB play, but my God, does he ever just explode? It's like he's being shot out of a cannon. So he's going to get that. He's obviously getting a big cushion at the bottom of the screen here, and he's just going to run by it. Defense makes a mistake, you got to be able to take advantage. But that explosive running ability, it's so clear on his tape. And I think that pairs really well for his ability to run some of these deeper breaking routes. So you're going to see him on a little intermediate crosser here. He's going to work up field, and then he's just able to glide in. And so when I say he's really aware of his surroundings, I like how he plays against zone. So he's in zone here. He's going to fit nicely behind the linebackers and in front of the safeties. And he's working into the middle of the field. You see him look. I don't know if you can see him look right there. See how his head's turning? So he's looking at that safety. He's going to see that safety start to step up. And instead of continuing this way closer to the safety, he actually sits down. He sits down, waits for the ball, and then he's able to get up, catch it. You see those clean hands catch, brings it down, contested catch. So really like his ability against zone. I think he sits down in zone really well. That's something I always want to see from a Ravens receiver. And here we can kind of see him again. He's working up into the DB. So see him, instead of just starting to bend, he's trying to work up as close as possible. And then when he does break, he naturally just creates that separation. So he's going to work up here and then break in, get a little bit closer to that seat or that cornerback, and try and sell that he's running deep. And you can kind of see, obviously, target goes elsewhere, but you're able to see where he's able to create that separation. Kind of see it here as well. See that nice breakdown ability and that acceleration right there. So he doesn't get the target. I don't think the DB's reacting to the ball being thrown to the running back, because he's still playing the wide receiver. It's not like he starts sprinting over to that side of the field. He's following. So even though the ball is thrown here, I think he is still reading the route. So he would have been wide open on this. So just, again, we're going to keep an eye on that, because that's something he does so incredibly well. And you see that quick stop ability, his ability to come back. So this is where, we don't have a ton of examples of it, but just where some of that route running, you're going to see some choppy steps for sure. But I found he did a really good job here to kind of press the corner back into the end zone, and then he comes back. But you're seeing a little bit of false steps there. So you're going to see him kind of come back, and he's, got to kind of plant his feet, stop, and then continue on. So there definitely is that ability, or not ability, sorry, there's those signs in his route running where he's going to have to get a little bit smoother when the route he's trying to break is a little choppier. Pulled this clip to show exactly that. So he's going to basically run a deep in. And so, again, he does a really good job of pressing up, but you kind of see crazy choppy steps, and the corner's able to kind of break on it here, just because everything gets a little choppy. So I think the route running is going to be a little bit of a work in progress when it's not a bending route. So crossers are fine. Deep posts will be pretty good. Deep corners, his ability to track the ball on both those concepts, I think those will be really high level routes for him. But I think some of this, more explosive route running where you want him, running ends, or, some even some of the fake concepts to deep routes, like running a sluggo, for example, I find he's going to have a little choppier steps, especially when you compare him to a guy we watched earlier this week in Adonai Mitchell. He was much more smoother when he was, gearing up and gearing down within his route, whereas Burton gets a little bit more choppy, and he's going to have to really work on getting his hips down. He's just running a little bit too stiff at this point. But I do like the way he works through physicality in his routes. So he's gonna take a little bit of contact here, but he's gonna continue to work through it. He's not really too disrupted. He doesn't get a ton of separation on this concept, but you kind of see a couple plays here where he's gonna take that physicality and he's just gonna work through it. Really like this one, because he's going to work up into that corner physically. The ball goes to the left side of the field, so he's not getting the target. But you can see him kind of work physically against the corner, and he's not disrupted by it. Same thing here. Would have loved to have seen him targeted here. We end up getting a scramble, but he's going to take, there's that hand coming in. He's going to take that press, and then rather than getting stuck, he kind of works laterally, but then he's got that pull away ability. So, if he's able to get that target deep down, would have been a really interesting play. Oh, they got the arrow on the wrong guy. So he's actually the outside player. I was looking in the slot because of where the arrow is. So this I wanted to grab because I was talking about his ability against zone. So here you're going to get what looks like cover 4 from the defense, and you're going to see him run. Nice smooth out route here, and then sit in against that coverage. And so that's something I find he does really well when he's against zone coverage. If it is an underneath route, he finds a soft spot and he sits in it. You're going to get it again here. See, got that big deep gap, and then he's just going to sit in. So you're going to see him basically just turn because he knows he's got all that space. He wants to make himself available. So that's something that you want to see, a guy that's going to work himself open, be able to read the defense and improvise a little bit. And then that's going to lend itself really well to kind of what I thought was one of the more unique aspects of his game. Is it on? Yeah. So it's going to be his ability. So he played with an athletic quarterback at the University of Alabama, and I thought he did a really good job when he was improvising. Once the play went off script, he did a really good job of finding soft spots, working himself open, coming back to the ball and creating a throw lane where he's actually going to be able to make a play. So you're going to kind of see it here. He's going to, run to bend, and play's kind of broken at this point. He's not open. Milrow's going to, he's going to scramble outside, and he actually doesn't move. He just kind of stayed where he was in the back of the end zone, and he did that because he's got the line of DBs in front of him. And so he's got, basically a big V there of guys, and he's just chilling with his hands up, and he's able to create that outlet and be able to come down with a touchdown while there's a scramble going on. So obviously when we project to an offense where Lamar Jackson's going to be doing some off-script stuff, give me a guy with awareness that's going to get open. So you're going to see it again here. He runs that quick little curl, doesn't work. Now we got a scramble. He's going to work upfield, and then he sees the big empty spot here in the middle of the defense. So rather than just working upfield where he's got all these guys, he's going to bend it back in. So Milrow ends up taking off, but you can constantly see him working into empty space to try and create those running outlets. Oh, he did throw it. Did he pass the line of scrimmage? Oh, I guess he didn't. So, this was one that goes for the touchdown. Sorry, I got four of these improvised routes. I forgot the second one was a touchdown. So there you go. Working into the empty zone. Should have wrote down that this play was a touchdown. So, there's that playmaker ability and that ability to work off of a mobile quarterback. We're going to get it again here. I think this is the play I thought we were working on. So again, we're going to go off script here. Yeah, so that's what I did in my notes here. So he's going to work into that empty space, continue to work upfield, and then as he's still scrambling, he's going to work upfield back to the ball this way to try and create a little bit of a throwing lane. So, I mean, just so many things to like about Jermaine Burton's game. That unique twist at the end is something that just really interests me as a guy that's, looking for players to fit in the Baltimore Ravens offense. I think that's something that, it's not a must-have, but it's definitely something that stands out when you watch his game. But if they're looking to use, maybe their second, maybe this is a guy that falls into the third, and just be an explosive playmaker. I think he has a ton of things that we saw the Ravens wanted to do last year, and that was push the ball downfield. They want to go 5-man protect, and they want to push the ball downfield. So hopefully they're able to get into a position where they have the offensive line protection to do that. But I would say Jermaine Burton definitely has a skill set that would fit. I think he's a very explosive guy. You can see that from his data. And he's one of those unique deep threats where he doesn't come with a ton of drop concerns. So I think that's also really interesting as well. So this is a guy that I do think is being slept on. I could see him being drafted higher just because of that explosive playmaking ability. In terms of a player comparison, I've seen Kenny Stills thrown around there, and I think that's like a healthy Kenny Stills, that ability to work deep. So I definitely see that. I think that's a really good one. So, I'd go with that type of player to really work the explosive part of his offense. So if you guys like this breakdown, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of Jermaine Burton, and let me know who you want to see next. That's all I have for you guys today. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.